也不很高。
Really gone forward, and a lot of people has raised a lot of questions, but not a lot of answers. And in my opinion, I think that we have a manager that that does not play the kind of attractive football that I would like to see at United. And I know people will say, doesn't really play the attractive football like the Man United always of playing. Never played in the Premier League, which is the toughest league in the world. A kid, he's still in that development stage, and I'm talking from experience. When you're 20, 21, until you're about 25, 26, that's when you really sort of understand your role and your position in the game. So he's still got another 3-4 years of development to anywhere near his full potential. So you're asking a young man to come in there and do a man's job, which is always going to be difficult for him. And so I feel for the kid. What I've seen of him, I have to say, I have my doubts. I'm not quite convinced. He hasn't convinced me yet.
Yeah.
That's it. He's a young lad, and you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think next season will be a good test for him. But we need more than that if we go to compete at the very top. It's just not enough. And obviously with Anthony Marshall leaving the football club, we only got one striker. United used to have 4 strikers, let alone one. And one that is not that recognizable. I mean, you watch him in the Euros, in the game the night against England, the impact that he's making as a striker is not there. You know, you need to show me a little bit more. And so that's enough, I will say, any other players that left United. Because when you're in those moments and you are the biggest and the best club in the world, you don't take things for granted, but there is a sense of when you leave that you're leaving something really unique and special. And I think that's why all of you here support Manchester. There is a uniqueness about the football club. There is a legacy that has been built for so many years, not just Sir Alex Ferguson, but before Sir Alex Ferguson, the legacy that continued to build, and the history that Manchester United continue. There is a sort of a connection there that you would never get rid of. And so leaving Manchester United Football Club after 4 years, there was something that was finally taken away from me that I enjoyed for such a long time.
The story goes that after you won the treble, you asked Sir Alex for a year off. Is that true, and how did he react?
Well, listen, there was a bit of tongue in cheek in it when I did, and obviously I had a few drinks when I said it to him. We were celebrating the treble within 9. But honestly, in speaking, and this is when you look back and you reflect on your career now, when you win the treble, anything after that is a failure, right? So you really kind of gone in there wanting to win things, unless you win the treble. And I remember, and I can tell you this now because I can share the story, I finished top scorer for Manchester United in the first year. The second year, I was a top scorer again. Plus, we won the league. We didn't play in the FA Cup because it took us on some kind of holiday scheme in Brazil. And then obviously we didn't win the Champions League. I remember Sir Alex Ferguson telling me I was a failure. But I was his top scorer again. And we won the league. Yeah. So you was always gonna be on the decline after you won the treble. I mean, you look at City this year. They won the treble. They only won the league. It's a failure because the standard that you set is very, very difficult to then duplicate what you did the previous year. So asking for a year off, I had an idea in my head, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Thank you. Considered by. Thank you.
So really good question, as I say. As a manager, I'm thinking ahead. I'll get rid of the deadwood to start with. The players who's been there for years, who suddenly now think anything that doesn't contribute, lots of injuries, I will start again. Also, I will look at the youth development scheme and start with the youth. When you look at the game that we're playing, and this is an idea in the final with the young players that we're playing against City in the FA Cup final. Those are the young players, because I remember growing up, you have to give young players an opportunity. You got to integrate them into the team a little bit more. And especially with Man United as a transitional period, I think the fans will accept the younger, good players coming through rather than some of the older players that has been there for so long. And I feel that if you can get the balance with some mixture of the old players and some of the younger players, and then start to build a team from there. So that's the first thing I will do if I was given the opportunity, right? I would change that sort of mentality in the football club, because if you look back at Sir Alex Ferguson, the legacy, he's given the young players an opportunity, right? The class of '92, these young players, right? We got about 5, 6 good young players there. Okay, they may not play every week, but you have them playing and giving them an opportunity to develop. The only way you're going to get better is by playing in these games and understanding what it takes. And then you find you get used to the surrounding, you get better, you get comfortable within the group, and players tend to perform. Because when you put a young players in that situation, I'm talking from my experience, you get a little nervous at the beginning. But after 2-3 months, you see them coming up. One, they got legs, they got energy, they want to prove themselves. So that's something that you need to make sure that you have that edge every time in the team, and the young players do provide that. I'm not saying that some of the older players does not, but if you get that mixture, I think that's the way forward that United should be looking at. Some of the players I would bring in, obviously we not sure about the goalkeeper. I have to say, I mean, I would like another challenge here, somebody that is, equally as good or if not better than him, to push him for that number 1 spot. I think I have my question mark. Defensively, we know that we have some issue there. If Martinez is fit, then that's fine. We go out and Harry. I think, there are times, right? Unfortunately, it happens to all of us. You got to move people on, and I think when you had all that row and all that kind of stuff, the unsettledness in the football club, my experience tells me that you've got to get rid of those type of players. Unfortunately, and Harry's been a good service to the football club, but then you need fresh, young blood, people who wants to be at the club, who wants to fight for the badge, who wants to make a name. Because when you look at the likes of Vidic, before Vidic and those guys came to the club, no one knew who Vidic and them were. Right? And so these guys, when they come to United and understand the magnitude of playing for Manchester United, the game raised, the level of performance goes up because of what Manchester United bring to these and what it means to these young players. So you've got to go out there and find and then pick 1 or 2 of the players and give these players the opportunity. I'll go by Ulesi, the young kid from Palace. I will also buy Izzy from Palace to play in that 10. So when Bruno is not playing, Izzy is another person to come in there and do it. So those are young players who have English background, who understand, who again coming from Crystal Palace, because I came from Aston Villa. You go up to a club like that, your whole level goes up, because you suddenly going from Crystal Palace to Manchester United. When you have that star-studded thing, you will be amazed what it does for you. He's now got into the England setup, so he must be doing well. Ulesi obviously missed out on France, so he's knocking on the door. And you've seen what he's destroyed us when they both played against Man United. I said it 6 months ago. They should go buy these young players. They're young, they want to prove, they want to play for a big club. Those are the type of the players that Manchester United should go for. And that's, if I was the manager, those are the players I would go for.
Welcome back. Welcome back. 猜的猜，有拍到哈。加油！加油！加油！
Season without a doubt has been a bit disappointing for us. I think a lot of people look at the FA Cup as a success, and of course that is a success because it's another a year with winning the trophy, although we haven't won any of the major competition in recent time. But the FA Cup is the oldest competition in British football, and to win that trophy is always a major honour. But looking through the lines of where Manchester United are, when you look a little bit deeper into Manchester United, in terms of finishing 8th, not really attractive football, having an identity as we called it.